what we see here is people who simply keep talking to me, and they tell them not to do it. They threaten them. They threaten me. Sometimes those threats are fairly serious and got me in all sorts of trouble once. But
have you ever been personally threatened, and do you fear for your family?
Yes, but only through abductees' testimony, not somebody coming up to me, me getting the impression that I better stop or anything like that. Nothing like that. So eventually what happens is they can't get the person to stop. They can't do it. And I just keep doing sessions with them and they can't get them to stop. And they threaten everything. They scare the living hell out of them and all that. Then they resort ultimately to violence. It starts out with sexual violence, but they've had sexual stuff all for years and years. But it even can go to a certain amount of cutting, just to teach the person a lesson that heals up very quickly. But there's a cut and there's blood there originally. Then to things as off the wall as sticking one's thumb into the bottom of a cheekbone and pressing real hard, and there's something going on there. Apparently it hurts, however they do it, but there's no mark. Who would ever think of that, of all things? I've had a whole bunch of people describe that. What the heck? Of all things to think of, that would not be the first thing that comes to my mind when you're thinking of violence.
That sounds like torture.
Well, it's just they're inflicting pain, but there's no bruise. That's the whole point of it. Then there's pushing a woman down backwards and then pulling them up by their hair. That I've seen a bunch of times. One woman who was a little overweight actually broke her wrist when she fell back to break her fall. So she woke up in the morning with a broken wrist. I asked her how she hates one of my get-togethers, and I asked her how she got that cast, and she said, "Well, how she broke her wrist." I asked her what happened. She said she broke her wrist. She said, "Well, how did that happen?" She said she didn't know. Well, that's not an answer. That's a correct answer. What do you mean you don't know? Everybody who's ever broken their wrist knows exactly how it happened, unless they were too young, and then their parents know exactly how it happened. It's a trauma running through their minds. So, and the final one is, and now this is good. Now, everything is off the wall, of course, but this one here has a resonance with us in this day and age. They take a woman or take an abductee and they stick her head. I'm using her because the majority of my people are female. They take her into the bathroom, put her in the shower, force her to lift her head up, and then they turn the shower on, and she thinks she's going to drown. And they say, next time you're going to get more. You are going to drown. We're going to, that sort of stuff. And they do this often, or dunk a woman's head in water, and they do that, and well, that's violence. And the way I look at it, that's violence.
How do you get your patients to deal with this? Because, as you said, it's continual. It's ever present and it's continual.
Well, the worst thing is if they're still working with me. As soon as they stop working with me, then everything equals out again. Then they don't have to. There's no violence. There's no nothing. Everything is fine.